USFL, who I've spoken about a few times, is returning in April. There is some news on that front in that they are officially playing all their games in Birmingham, and that was pretty much confirmed before, but it wasn't really official. This isn't. It's kind of strange. It's not totally official now either, but it did come through an official communication of sorts from the USFL in that it was a job posting that mentioned that whoever was applying for that job would be in Birmingham, as all games will be played in 22 in Birmingham. So that confirms it, but it was not a press release or anything that was official, I guess. But so it's kind of strange how that kind of big news actually is out there now. I think some of that has to do with there's the at least reports about the city and county throwing in some money to make that official. I believe it's to like help renovate the stadium possibly, or maybe even living quarters for all these 8 teams that will be in Birmingham for the months of April, May, and June. So that's a little bit of news out there. As for my Michigan Panthers is the main reason why I'm so excited about this new league forming or reformation of an old league, as I am wearing my Panthers hoodie, of course.
I feel like you do this every week.
I do this every other week, but there's just a little bit of news here and there. I've seen some uniform renderings for the Panthers. I don't believe they are official. I think it's just somebody loosely associated with USFL that's doing these uniform renderings. He's done all 8 teams now. The Panthers came out this week, and I wasn't blown away. He's taken the new logos that have been released and applying that and speculating perhaps on how the color schemes to be applied to the uniforms, helmets, etc. And I wasn't blown away. I'm actually a bigger fan of course, of my own renderings that I did randomly about 6 months ago, not knowing that the USFL was even coming back. I put together my own. I think they look much better, but I don't want to disparage.
You think yours are better than someone else's? What a strange thing for a human being to say.
I think I'm pretty honest about my graphic design skills and versus others, and most of the time I come up short. But this time I think I'm a winner on this.
All right. Why don't you just send them to me and I will judge?
I think I'm going to submit them directly to the Panthers, as I have their Twitter account handy. So I'll be checking that out. But
we don't do a lot of cliffhangers on this show, but I would say folks, tune in next week to get my call on who did it better, Smitty or the.
I believe his name is
USFL.
Luis Fernando. So I'll send you all that.
Or Luis Fernando.
Yeah. But speaking of Twitter followers, this is a part of a thing I wanted to bring up with the coming USFL, and that I haven't talked about the teams that are going to be available besides the Panthers. The 8-team league is going to be divided into 2 divisions, North and South, and in the North will be the New Jersey Generals, Philadelphia Stars, the Pittsburgh Maulers, and the Michigan Panthers. The South is the Birmingham Stallions, of course, Houston Gamblers, New Orleans Breakers, which I think they started as the Boston Breakers at one point, and I think they were in New Orleans by the end of the USFL, so I guess that makes sense. And then did I say the Tampa Bay Bandits? That was the last one, but that got me to thinking, like, what are the natural rivals going to be, specifically for the Panthers? And there's nobody that's really close. It's not like there's a Chicago team, which I am a little bit surprised. There is no Chicago USFL team in this reboot. But so I think if you look at geography, the only team that's close would be Pittsburgh Maulers. But at first you'd say, well, wouldn't they be rivals with the Philadelphia Stars? Because they're both in Pennsylvania, but actually Detroit is closer to Pittsburgh than Philadelphia is to Pittsburgh. And I think it's 4.5 hour drive versus 5 hour drive. But the other part of that is the Stars are like an hour and a half away from the New Jersey Generals. So I think that's going to be the rivalry there. So it'll be up to the the Panthers and Pittsburgh-Maulers, which I actually think is a pretty damn cool name. They've got a pretty cool logo set. But I will not be rooting for the Maulers, as I have declared now that they will be our arch rivals in the USFL. They also happen to be the two franchises that have the most Twitter followers by quite a margin, actually. Somehow those two markets are fired up for the new USFL, and at least they have plenty of followers on Twitter now. So I found that interesting. I was kind of surprised that the Panthers were even amongst the top, but I guess I'm not alone in my enthusiasm for this reboot, and I think it makes some sense, as of course our Detroit Lions have done nothing to entertain us for the last 65 years. So the Panthers are the only successful professional football franchise in the state of Michigan over that time. So yeah, I think that's the only news that's really out now. It's kind of a slow time. I'm kind of surprised there isn't more news coming from the USFL. The last things on their social media pages are from Black Friday, trying to sell some kind of mediocre merchandise, just standard primary and secondary logos that they released on like white or gray sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, just kind of generic stuff. It's almost like, it looks like print on demand. Like they haven't invested in the inventory. I thought they'd have jerseys for sale by, for this Christmas season, at least. I thought there'd be a lot more of a media blitz that we'd see, and maybe they just haven't gotten that quite together yet. And we'll see more of that after the NFL season is over, as they're going to have, a 2-month run up after the Super Bowl until mid-April before the season starts. So maybe I'm hoping to see more. I mean, we need to start hearing about how their rosters are going to be formed. There's a little bit of news about that with potential. I didn't fully understand this, how they could be like college players entering the transfer portal could actually be eligible to be picked up by, or to be potentially drafted by USFL franchises, which I'm not sure how that possibly works, or what the legal ramifications are, or what the NFL thinks about that, or I don't know how that works, but we'll hear more about that. We'll be hearing more about the coaching staffs being assembled. So there'll be more news throughout this winter for the USFL, and specifically for my Michigan Panthers.
Word Hole Media.